Okay, let's unpack this. Whether you're, navigating high school, really diving deep in college, or maybe you're immersed in grad research. You know the feeling, right? Just the sheer volume of information, all the tasks.
And
Honestly, the huge number of digital tools all claiming they can help. That's a lot.
it really is. And that's exactly what we're tackling in this deep dive. We've sifted through a whole stack of sources, articles, guides, research, all looking specifically at cloud-based productivity hacks for students, like across the board, high school to grad school.
Right.
Our mission here really is to cut through all that noise. We want to pull out the most valuable, maybe even surprising tips and tricks from these sources, focusing on things you can actually do with tools you probably already have access to. From the big three, Google, Microsoft, and Apple. And the goal isn't just listing features, It's about showing how students can genuinely use them better for notes, studying, group work, getting organized.
And believe me, these sources found some really clever stuff. We're talking about, like, simple hacks turning voice memos straight into text.
Yeah, instantly.
Or features making your handwritten notes searchable. Can you imagine?
It's pretty amazing.
Or getting lectures transcribed automatically. Even built-in tools that walk you through math problems, step by step, right in your Notes app. I mean, if that doesn't sound like a shortcut to being more efficient, I don't know what does.
Exactly.
So where should we start? Well, naturally, the foundation, right? Note-taking.
Yep.
For ages, it was pen and paper, maybe a spiral notebook. Then laptops came along. But the sources we looked at, they make a really strong case that cloud-based note-taking is, well, a total game changer right now. Why is that?
It really boils down to two main things, according to the sources. Accessibility and searchability. With these cloud tools, your notes aren't stuck in one physical binder or like on one computer's hard drive anymore. They sync up automatically. That means they're just there on your phone, your tablet, your laptop, wherever you need them, whenever. That accessibility is huge.
Yeah, no more, oh no, I left my notes at home.
Exactly. But maybe even more powerful is the searchability. Think about it. No more flipping through hundreds of pages trying to find that one definition from weeks ago.
Ugh. The worst.
Right. You just type a keyword and bam, there it is.
Yeah.
The sources really stress how much time that saves.
Okay, accessibility and searchability, that makes total sense. So let's get specific. What did the sources highlight as the standout tools and hacks in each ecosystem? Let's start with Google.
Okay, Google. Looking at the material, two tools really jumped out. First up is Google Keep.
The sticky notes.
Pretty much. Think digital sticky notes. It's great for that quick capture, jotting down a thought, a quick reminder, snapping a photo of a slide or a whiteboard. Super easy. But the real hacks, the sources pointed out, they're about getting info in and finding it faster. Like, you can record a voice memo in Keep on your phone.
Okay.
And it automatically transcribes it into text for you.
Whoa.
Yeah. Huge for capturing ideas when you're walking around. And those photos you take of slides or book pages, Keep has this feature, grab image text.
OCR, right?
Exactly. OCR, optical character recognition. It pulls the text right out of the image. So that photo isn't just a picture anymore. It's actual, searchable, editable text you can use later.
Okay, text from voice, text from images, instantly searchable.
Yeah.
That is pretty slick.
It really is. And the sources also mention the simple things in Keep that work well, like color coding notes, adding labels, tag things with hashtag Psych101 or hashtag research paper so you can filter them easily. You can pin the really important notes to the top, and even set location or time-based reminders that pop up when you need them, synced with your calendar.
Useful. But what about longer notes, like for a whole lecture?
Right. For more detailed stuff, the sources definitely lean towards Google Docs. The document outline feature is key there. It automatically builds a table of contents on the side based on your headings. Super helpful for navigating long notes.
Yeah, I use that all the time.
But here's the most interesting hack mentioned for docs. Using voice typing for more than just dictating your own thoughts.
Okay.
The sources suggest playing a recorded lecture, say on your phone, and having voice typing running in a Google Doc on your laptop. It basically transcribes the whole lecture for you automatically.
Seriously, like live transcription of a recording.
Pretty much, yeah. It creates this fully searchable document of everything the professor said. Think about the time saved compared to typing it all out later.
That's huge.
And if you used Keep for quick notes during that lecture, you can pop open the Keep sidebar right inside Docs and just drag and drop those quick thoughts or the text you grabbed from images right into your main notes.
Nice integration.
And the best part, Keep and Docs are generally free. They sync through Google Drive, which gives you that solid 15 gigs of free storage to start with.
Wow. Okay, that lecture transcription hack alone.
Hmm.
Turning audio into searchable text just like that, that solves a massive problem for so many students. All right, let's move over to Microsoft. What do the sources say about their note-taking tools?
For Microsoft, the name that came up again and again in the sources is OneNote. It's consistently described as like a digital notebook powerhouse, and it's free across pretty much all devices.
Right, OneNote's been around a while. How does it structure things?
It's really intuitive, actually. You have notebooks, like binders. Then inside those, you have sections, like dividers. And within sections, you have pages. You can even have subpages. It mimics that physical binder structure really well, which a lot of students find comfortable.
Yeah, that makes...
And if you're using a tablet or a two-in-one device with a stylus, OneNote's support for handwriting and drawing is excellent, and the sources really hammer this home. Your handwritten notes are searchable.
Searchable handwriting. Okay, that's definitely a step up from paper.
Exactly. You write down an equation, you sketch a diagram. Chances are OneNote can find it later when you search.
That's impressive. What else makes OneNote stand out?
Probably its most unique feature, according to these reports, is the audio integration. You can actually record lecture audio directly into a OneNote page.
Okay.
And here's the cool part. It automatically links the audio playback to the exact text you were writing or typing at that moment.
Wait, what? So I click on a sentence I wrote?
And OneNote plays the audio recording from the moment you wrote that sentence.
That's brilliant if you missed something or didn't understand.
Exactly. You can instantly rehear what the professor was saying right then. The sources say it even tries to index spoken words in the recording, making the audio itself searchable to some extent. It feels like a real study superpower.
Definitely. Any other OneNote tricks?
Yeah. The sources mention using the free Office Lens app, which works with OneNote on mobile. It's a great way to quickly scan physical documents like handouts or worksheets straight into OneNote. It cleans them up, makes the text searchable with OCR. Super handy.
Nice. Any costs involved?
The core OneNote is free. Some advanced things, like the math assistant that shows step-by-step solutions, might need a Microsoft 365 subscription, but many schools provide that for free. Your notes sync via OneDrive, and you get 5 GB free there.
Linking written notes to the audio moment.
Yeah.
That just seems incredibly useful for reviewing. Okay, let's talk Apple. The built-in Notes app seems pretty basic at first glance. But what hidden depth did the sources find?
The Apple Notes app, the one built into iPhone, iPad, and Mac, is actually described as surprisingly powerful in these sources. Obviously, it syncs seamlessly via iCloud.
Okay.
One really neat trick they highlighted is using your iPhone or iPad camera to scan paper documents or worksheets directly into a note.
Like Office Lens.
Similar, yeah. It auto-detects the edges, cleans up the image, and then using Live Text, which is Apple's built-in OCR, it makes all the text in that scanned document searchable, right there in the note.
Very cool. What about handwriting?
Excellent support, especially with an Apple Pencil on iPad. And crucially, just like OneNote, your handwritten notes are searchable. Scribble down ideas, draw diagrams. Notes can find keywords inside your handwriting.
So both Microsoft and Apple have really cracked that searchable handwriting thing. That's a key takeaway.
It really is. And Apple Notes has recently added some powerful audio features too, especially on the newer iPad OS versions, like 17 and up.
Like recording.
Yeah, you can record audio directly within a note, and it will automatically generate a transcript of that recording.
Wow. So similar to that Google Docs hack, but built right into Notes.
Exactly. Great for getting searchable text from study group chats or quick meeting notes right alongside your typed or handwritten stuff. And on the Mac, with macOS Sonoma, there's an even faster feature. You can ask Notes to summarize a long audio recording with just one click. It pulls out the key points.
Summarize audio. That sounds like a huge time saver.
Definitely for reviewing long lectures or meetings. The sources also mentioned the simple but effective organization using folders and subfolders, plus the addition of hashtag tags for filtering notes across different folders, and the quick note feature on Mac and iPad.
Yeah, the little corner swipe.
Right. You can pop open a note instantly from anywhere, and it can even be context-aware, like linking back to the web page or document you were looking at when you started the note.
Handy. And syncing.
It all syncs via iCloud. You get 5 GB free there too. And for sharing with people outside the Apple world, the sources mention you can share individual notes or folders through the iCloud web portal, so non-Apple users can view and sometimes edit them in a browser.
Okay, wow, that's a ton of options. From quick sticky notes and keep, to structured docs, to those flexible OneNote binders that link audio, to the surprisingly powerful Apple Notes. It really shows how each ecosystem tackles note-taking differently. For you listening right now, think about how you take notes. Are you messy and quick, super structured? Do you rely on audio, drawings? Which one of these specific features, maybe that instant transcription, the searchable handwriting, the audio linking, or quick capture, which one sounds like it could fill a gap or fix a frustration you have right now? Okay, so capturing information is step one. But the real challenge, often, is what comes next, right? Actually using those notes and all your other materials to study for exams, write papers, really understand things. How do we move from just taking notes to actually studying smarter? The sources say these cloud tools offer some seriously clever shortcuts here.
They really do. And some of it involves revisiting tools we just talked about, but looking at them through a study lens. Remember that Google Docs voice typing hack for transcribing lectures?
Yeah, the live transcription thing.
The sources frame that as essentially creating your own personal Ctrl plus F searchable database of all your lectures. Imagine, instead of desperately flipping through notes or scrubbing through hours of audio, you just search for a keyword like photosynthesis or Keynesian economics, and boom, the transcript instantly shows you every single time the professor mentioned it across all your lectures. That feels like a massive unlock for exam prep.
Totally. What about writing papers?
For research and writing, Google Docs Explore function got highlighted. It's that sidebar where you can search the web or even your own Google Drive files without leaving your document. Super handy for quick fact checks or finding that PDF source you saved.
Yeah, it keeps you focused.
And Docs also has that built-in free citation generator. It supports MLA, APA, Chicago styles. You just add your sources, and it helps you pop in formatted citations and build your bibliography with a click. Huge time saver, huge help with avoiding plagiarism.
Oh, definitely. A built-in citation tool. That's like a safety net for academic writing.
Absolutely. And don't forget Google Drive search itself. The sources remind us it searches inside PDFs and images thanks to that OCR. It can even recognize objects and photos sometimes, which might help you find that picture of the whiteboard diagram from weeks ago.
Wow.
And for managing deadlines, the sources recommend really using the connection between Google Calendar and Google Tasks. Create a dedicated calendar for classes or study blocks. Add assignment due dates as tasks in Google Tasks. They'll show up automatically right on your calendar.
Oh, I like that integration.
Yeah, and you can use tasks to break big projects down into smaller steps, set reminders for each. It's a pretty simple but effective system for staying on top of your workload using tools you probably already have.
Okay, searchable lecture transcripts, citation help, smarter search, integrated task management. Those are solid Google study hacks. How about Microsoft? What study aids did the sources point to in their ecosystem?
Microsoft has some really excellent accessibility and learning tools baked in. We mentioned Immersive Reader and Read Aloud for Notes earlier.
Right.
The sources detail how that helps with studying. Immersive Reader gives you this clean, distraction-free view of text. Both tools can read text aloud, highlighting words as they go. You can change fonts, spacing, background colors.
So good for different learning styles.
Exactly. Hearing your notes or textbook chapters read aloud can seriously boost comprehension and memory, especially if you're an auditory learner. And a clever hack the sources mentioned. Use Read Aloud to listen to your own essay drafts.
Oh, to catch awkward sentences.
Precisely. You hear errors or clunky phrasing that your eyes might just skim over when reading silently. It's a great proofreading technique.
Smart. What else?
For STEM students, OneNote's Math Assistant, again, often free if your school provides Microsoft 365, is highlighted as a really underused gem. If you write or type an equation in OneNote,
It solves it.
not just solves it, but it can show you the step-by-step solution, like how it got the answer. It could even plot graphs of equations. The sources stress this isn't just about getting answers. It's like having a virtual tutor built in to help you understand the process.
That could be incredibly helpful.
And for web research, the sources pointed to the Microsoft Edge browser's collections feature. As you browse, you can easily save links, snippets of text, images related to your project into a dedicated collection.
Okay, like a research folder?
Kind of, yeah. But here's the killer hack the sources raved about. Edge can export an entire collection directly to a Word document.
Oh.
And get this, it automatically appends citations for the websites you saved in that collection.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
You collect stuff, hit export, and you get a Word doc with the info and a bibliography started.
Exactly. Collect 5 sources, click export, boom. Massive time saver for research papers.
Okay, exporting sources with citations. Microsoft definitely thought about the student workflow there.
Yeah.
That alone could save hours. What about Apple's study hacks?
Apple also leans into audio and text interaction. We talked about recording audio with transcripts in Apple Notes. The sources reiterate using this for study sessions, record your group discussion, get a searchable transcript later. On a Mac, the speak selection feature works like read aloud select text, have it read back to you, good for comprehension, good for proofreading. But the standout audio feature, especially for reviewing long recordings, is that summarize recording feature in Notes on macOS Sonoma plus one click, and it gives you a concise summary. The source has called this a potential game changer for quickly reviewing lectures or long meetings.
Summaries of recordings. Wow.
And battling distractions. That's key for studying. The sources recommend really digging into Apple's focus modes. You can set up a custom study focus.
Right. Silence notifications.
Exactly. Silence notifications from specific apps or people. Create that dedicated quiet zone for deep work. You can schedule it, turn it on manually. The sources even suggested pairing it with screen time limits to actively block distracting apps during your scheduled study blocks.
Taking control of the digital environment.
Precisely. And for more visual or collaborative studying, the sources pointed to iWork apps like Keynote for making digital flashcards easy to do, one slide per question answer, and Apple's newer Freeform app,
The whiteboard thing.
presented as ideal for visual brainstorming, mind mapping. It's like an infinite digital canvas where you can throw text, drawings, sticky notes, images, links, map out concepts for an exam, organize paper ideas. And freeform boards can be shared via iCloud, so great for group study too.
Nice.
And don't forget the simple built-in dictionary and translate tools across Apple devices, super handy when you hit complex words and readings.
Okay, framing this around learning styles makes a lot of sense. Auditory tools like Read Aloud and transcripts. Visual tools like Freeform or OneNote Drawing. Analytical helpers like Math Assistant or Citation Managers. For you listening, think about how you learn best. Which one of these specific hacks, maybe summarizing audio or exporting citations or listening to your drafts, sounds like it could unlock a new way for you to review material or tackle research more effectively? So, moving from individual work, let's talk group projects. This is where cloud tools seem to really shine, right? Breaking down those old barriers of trying to coordinate everything.
No, absolutely. Collaboration is where these cloud ecosystems really flex their muscles, and the sources highlighted key features that just make group work so much smoother. For Google, the absolute bedrock is real-time co-editing in docs, sheets, and slides.
Seeing everyone type at once.
Exactly. Multiple people in the same doc, live cursors, live edits. It's just worlds away from emailing versions back and forth, getting confused about which is the latest.
Definitely. How about feedback?
Suggestion mode in docs is key. It's like track changes. You propose edits, others can accept or reject them. Keeps it clean. But the sources really push using comments and @mentions. Type @het in someone's name.
Pings them.
Yeah, notifies them about a specific question or task related to that part of the document. You can even assign action items right from a comment, and it links to Google Tasks. Keeps people accountable.
Well, that's useful.
And version history, the sources called it a lifesaver. If someone accidentally deletes a huge chunk or you need to go back to an earlier idea, you can easily see who changed what and restore previous versions.
Essential. How do you keep all the project files together?
That's Google Drive shared folders. The sources strongly recommend create one central folder per project, share it with the whole group. All the docs, research presentations live there, always the latest version, everyone has access. And use Drive's color coding on those folders to make them stand out visually in your Drive list.
Good tip. What about meetings?
Google Meet integrates right into calendar invites, so scheduling video calls is easy. And Jamboard, Google's online whiteboard that saves to Drive, is great for virtual brainstorming sessions during those calls.
And the cross-platform thing.
Yeah, the sources really praised Google's cross-platform ease. Since it's all primarily browser-based, it doesn't matter if group members have Macs, PCs, Chromebooks, whatever, everyone can collaborate smoothly.
That browser access is a huge plus for diverse student groups. Okay, how does Microsoft handle collaboration?
Well, if your school provides Office 365, Microsoft Teams often becomes the central hub, according to the sources. You can create a private team or channel just for your group project.
So it's more than just chat.
Oh, yeah. You get persistent chat, easy meeting scheduling within Teams with screen sharing, recording, transcripts, and crucially, you can co-edit Office files like Word docs or PowerPoint slides right there inside the Teams interface.
Keeps everything together.
Exactly. You can even add a OneNote notebook tab to your team channel for shared meeting notes or brainstorming. And the recommended way to share files is using OneDrive links, not emailing attachments. OneDrive also now supports folder color coding, which is nice.
What about editing itself?
The sources noted that traditional Office apps, even when co-editing, often do a better job of preserving complex formatting compared to some purely web-based tools. That can matter for final presentations or reports. Within Word and PowerPoint, you have the standard comments and track changes for feedback.
Any newer features?
Yes, loop components got to mention. These are really interesting. They're like small, live blocks of content, a checklist, a table, a paragraph. You can create one and embed it in a Teams chat, an email, maybe even different documents.
And everyone edits it live.
Yeah, everyone edits that same block in real time wherever they see it. It stays synced across all locations. It's a new way to keep specific pieces of information, like a task list or meeting notes, constantly updated for everyone.
That sounds potentially very powerful for keeping specific things aligned.
It does. And behind the scenes, SharePoint provides robust version history for Office files stored in Teams or OneDrive. Like Google, Microsoft emphasizes cross-device collaboration with good mobile apps and browser access. You can also easily share files via links with guest users who don't have Microsoft accounts.
Loop components. Interesting. Okay, and Apple, how does their ecosystem facilitate group work?
Apple's iWork suite pages, Numbers, Keynote fully supports real-time collaboration, mainly for users within the Apple ecosystem, though web access is possible. You share documents via iCloud.
It's similar to Google Docs editing.
Yeah, multiple people can edit simultaneously. You see their colored cursors, changes appear live. Great for group reports or presentations. It syncs through iCloud, has version history. One key advantage the sources highlighted is offline editing.
Oh?
You can keep working on a shared iWork document even if you lose internet connection. Your changes just sync up automatically next time you're online. That can be really useful.
Definitely. What about notes?
You can share Apple Notes, even entire folders for collaborative note-taking or brainstorming. Everyone sees updates live.
And freeform again.
Yes, Freeform was mentioned again as excellent for collaborative visual brainstorming. That shared infinite canvas is perfect for group mind maps or project planning.
Communication.
FaceTime for group video calls. And a big improvement mentioned is that you can now create web links for FaceTime calls, so non-Apple users can join from a browser on their PC or Android device. That opens things up a lot. SharePlay lets you watch videos or listen to music together during calls, too.
What about tasks?
For Apple-centric groups, Messages group chats work well, showing nice previews of shared documents. And the sources strongly suggested using shared reminders lists for group task management. Create a list for the project, share it, everyone adds tasks, assigns them, checks them off. Simple but effective. And again, the iCloud web workaround lets you share iWork docs and notes with non-Apple folks via a browser.
That's a really solid set of collaboration tools across all three platforms. Simultaneous editing, shared folders, whiteboards, task lists. For you listening, think back to your last tricky group project. Where did things get stuck? Was it version control? Knowing who was doing what? Just basic communication? Could any of these specific features, maybe loop components, shared trinity, reminders, real-time co-editing with comments, have smoothed out those bumps? All right, we've looked at creating notes, using them to study, working together, but with all this digital stuff, notes, files, tasks, messages potentially scattered everywhere, the big question is, how do you actually keep it all organized? How do you tame the digital chaos?
Yeah, organization is the glue that holds it all together.
That's right.
And the sources offered some great practical hacks for each ecosystem. Starting with Google Drive organization is key. The advice was clear: create logical folder structures for your classes, your projects. A simple but effective hack. Use Drive's color coding for folders, and maybe even emojis in the folder names for quick visual cues. Make your biology folder green, history brown, whatever works for you.
I like the emoji idea.
It helps. Also, starring important files or folders keeps them in a quick access list. And really lean on Drive search. Use filters, search inside documents, thanks OCR, even search for objects and images. Don't forget the mobile Drive app has a great scan to PDF feature for quickly digitizing paper.
Good for handouts.
Exactly. And here's a super useful hack. In Gmail, use that little Drive icon to save attachments directly to a specific Drive folder. Stops important files getting lost in your inbox tsunami.
Oh, that's a good one. What about tasks versus notes?
The sources clarified how Google Keep and Google Tasks work best together. Use Keep for those quick, non-scheduled notes, random thoughts, checklists, reference info. Organize it with labels, #ideas, #read later. A great tip was keeping pinned, labeled checklists in Keep like a master to-do list for each class or recurring tasks.
Okay, keep for the maybe stuff.
Right. And then use Google Tasks for anything with a specific due date or deadline. Tasks integrates tightly with Google Calendar, so due dates show up right on your schedule. You get notifications, create separate task lists for different classes. The courses presented them as a duo, keep for capture and reference, tasks for dated action items, and you get that 15 GB free storage with Google, which is pretty generous.
Okay, the keep tasks distinction is helpful. Color coding, emojis, direct save from Gmail. Nice tips. How about staying organized in the Microsoft world?
For Microsoft, OneDrive file management is central. Similar to Drive, you can now use folder color customization on the web version. A really useful feature the source has highlighted is Add to OneDrive.
What's that?
It lets you add a folder someone else shared with you, maybe a professor's resource folder or a group project folder directly into your OneDrive structure without actually copying or moving the files. It just appears alongside your stuff, making it much easier to find.
Ah, like a shortcut to shared stuff.
Exactly. The mobile app also has good document standing. On desktop, Files on Demand is key. It shows all your cloud files in File Explorer, but only downloads them when you open them, saving precious hard drive space. Using clear naming conventions for files was also stressed, and version history is your safety net, letting you restore previous versions of Office files for up to 30 days.
Good safety net. What about scheduling and tasks?
Outlook Calendar is the hub there. Use multiple color-coded calendars, classes, personal study groups. You can often subscribe to official academic calendars too. But the real power comes from its integration with Microsoft To Do.
How do they connect?
Tasks sync seamlessly between Outlook's task section and the dedicated To Do app, but the killer hack mentioned, flagging an email in Outlook.
Yeah.
When you flag an email, it automatically creates a corresponding task in a special flagged email list in Microsoft To Do. It even links back to the original email. Perfect for turning email instructions into trackable tasks without copy-pasting.
That is brilliant. Email overload solved.
Could be. You can also use the My Day feature in To Do to focus on what needs doing today. And finally, circling back to OneNote as a digital binder, the sources reminded us to use tags within notes, things like a checkbox for To Do, a question mark, an important star.
Right, the tags.
And the Find Tags summary feature in the OneNote desktop app lets you instantly generate a summary page showing all items tagged with question or To Do across your entire notebook, or even multiple notebooks. Invaluable for pre-exam review or checking action items.
Flagging emails to tasks, find tag summary. Microsoft has some clever organizational links there. Finally, Apple's ecosystem. How do users keep things tidy there?
Apple Organization centers around iCloud Drive, accessed via the Files app on iOS petOS or Finder on Mac. Standard folders are the base, but a really powerful Mac feature highlighted are colored tags. You can assign color tags like red for urgent, blue for reading to any file or folder, and these tags sync via iCloud.
So you can filter by color across devices.
Exactly. Even though iCloud Drive folders themselves don't have custom colors like Drive or OneDrive, tags provide a similar, flexible way to cross-reference and find things quickly. Desktop and document syncing is also key, keeping those crucial folders available automatically on all your Apple devices.
Makes switching devices seamless.
Totally. Quick look. Pressing spacebar on a file gives fast previews. Search is powerful, using Spotlight Tech and including live text search within images and scans. Mac users also have features like stacks to automatically tidy up messy desktops, and smart folders in Finder, which are basically saved searches that automatically group files based on criteria you set, like all PDFs added this month related to my thesis.
Smart folders sound handy. Tasks and calendar.
Apple Calendar and Reminders are the core. Use multiple color-coded calendars in the Calendar app. Reminders has improved a lot. You can create lists, add subtasks, set location, or time-based notifications. And with newer iOS versions, like 16 Plus, you get smart lists, automatically grouping reminders by tags or dates, and tags for organization within Reminders itself. Create lists per class.
Any cool integrations?
Yes, a really useful one highlighted is the Remind Me feature in Apple Mail. On an iPhone or iPad, you can swipe on an email and choose Remind Me. It automatically creates a task in the Reminders app with a direct link back to that email.
Ah, similar to the Outlook flagging.
Exactly. Great for turning email requests or important info into actionable reminders without leaving your inbox for long. And don't forget shared reminders lists for group tasks, as we mentioned. All these built-in tools are free. You only pay if you need more than the initial 5 GB of iCloud storage.
Okay, so we've hit a ton of organizational tactics, folders, colors, emojis, tags, scanning, saving from email, linking tasks and calendars. The core theme seems to be centralizing, searching, and automating reminders. For you listening, take a second. What part of your digital student life feels most chaotic right now? Is it your files, your notes, your task list, your inbox? Could trying just one of these specific tools or hacks, maybe using tags or the email to task feature or just color coding folders, start bringing some order to that one area this week? Okay, that was definitely a deep dive. Wow. 3 big ecosystems, 4 key areas of student life notes, studying, collaborating, organizing, and just dozens of specific tips and hacks pulled from these sources. It can feel like a lot. How do we tie this all together? What's the big picture takeaway?
The single most important insight that really came through from reviewing all this material, and we kind of touched on it throughout, is that you are absolutely not locked into just one ecosystem.
Right, you don't have to be all Google or all Apple.
Yeah, exactly. The sources made that point very clearly. Many of these tools are actually designed to work together, or at least, coexist peacefully. The real power for you as a student isn't about picking one brand and sticking to it religiously. It's about mixing and matching to build a personal system, a workflow that genuinely works for you, for your specific classes, your learning style.
Okay.
The sources gave examples like this. Maybe you absolutely love handwriting notes on an iPad, and OneNote feels best for that. So you use OneNote and your notes sync to OneDrive. But maybe your study group heavily prefers Google Docs for outlining papers together because of the real-time editing. Fine. You use Docs for that. And maybe you personally just find Apple Calendar and Reminders the easiest way to manage your schedule and deadlines because you've always used an iPhone.
So you can use parts from each.
Absolutely. That kind of hybrid approach isn't just possible. The sources suggest it's often the most effective strategy. It lets you pick the best tool for each specific job, leveraging the unique strengths of each platform, instead of trying to force one system to do everything perfectly, which it probably can't.
That makes so much sense. Don't feel pressured to choose a side. Just choose the best tool for that specific task.
Precisely. And the reason to bother exploring all these productivity hacks, the why behind it. It's not just about having neat digital folders. As the sources hinted, when you manage your information efficiently, when you know where things are, trust your system to remind you, have searchable notes, it actually frees up significant mental energy and time.
Right, less time searching, more time thinking.
Exactly. Time you can then spend on what actually matters. Understanding the material, thinking critically, engaging in discussions, maybe even, getting a bit more sleep. Learning about these tools, figuring out your workflow, it's really a shortcut to being better equipped to learn. It frees up bandwidth for the real work.
We've certainly covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, exploring cloud productivity hacks for students, pulled out specific tools, workflows, even some hidden features across Google, Microsoft, and Apple for everything from taking lecture notes to organizing your entire academic life.
And maybe just to leave you with a final thought, something that builds on the conclusion from our sources. The real key to making any of these systems work isn't just knowing the features, it's actually exploring them and setting them up in a way that fits your specific needs. So after hearing about all these possibilities today, what's just one specific feature or hack we talked about? Maybe something you didn't realize existed, or perhaps something you thought was off limits because it was from a different platform. What's one thing you could commit to actually trying out this week? Could implementing just that single change, maybe trying searchable handwriting in OneNote or Apple Notes, using that email to task trick in Outlook or Reminders, or setting up a shared Google Drive folder for your next project, could that one small experiment significantly change how you approach one specific task, making it maybe a little bit easier, a little bit faster?
A great challenge. Find one thing and try it. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.